The chandelier in the White Family Country Club dining room catches the afternoon light just right, sending fractured rainbows across mahogany that costs more than most people's cars. I watch dust motes drift through Eleanor's cloud of Chanel No. 5. As I follow the maitre d' to what he calls the family table, with that knowing smile he reserves for people about to get bad news over good wine. Arthur checks his Rolex before I even sit down. Third time in 30 seconds. Eleanor adjusts her pearls with the precise motion of someone who has practiced this gesture in a mirror. Meredith positions her iPhone at an angle that would make a film student proud, her smile sharp enough to draw blood. Everyone in their assigned seats. Everyone playing their part in whatever intervention they've rehearsed. Rebecca. Eleanor's voice has that particular warmth she uses when she wants something. You look lovely, darling. I'm wearing the same gray sweater I wore last Tuesday. She didn't notice it then either. I sit in the chair the maitre d' pulls out, the one that faces all three of them like I'm about to defend a dissertation to a hostile committee. The leather creaks. Someone in the kitchen drops a pan. Normal sounds in a very abnormal moment. Eleanor slides a slim velvet box across the table, the kind of box that usually holds jewelry. Her fingers leave it positioned exactly between the salt and pepper shakers, perfectly aligned with the table's edge. A fresh start, darling. We think you'll adore Austin. I open the box. One-way plane ticket. Departure in 48 hours. Arthur places a check beside it with surgical precision, his banker hands steady. Your seed capital. Rebecca. $5,000. Use it wisely. The check is already signed. Already dated. They printed it before I even arrived. Meredith shifts her phone a fraction of an inch to the left, getting my face in better light. Her Yale Law Review editor's smile widens. She's been waiting for this moment, probably planned which filter she'll use when she posts the video. I recognize this performance. The synchronized movements. The rehearsed lines. They've been planning this for months, and I'm supposed to crumble right on cue. My mind drifts back to last year, the annual White Family Charity Gala at the Ritz-Carlton. I'd come straight from TerraSense field testing, and hadn't had time to change. My hiking boots were still a bit dusty. I thought they'd understand. I thought maybe this one time, my work would matter more than appearances. Harrison Blackwood cornered me near the champagne fountain, Arthur's most important client, the one who controls half of Arthur's quarterly bonuses. His laugh cut through the string quartet. Arthur, I didn't know you hired the garden staff for your parties. Arthur's face drained white. Eleanor's hand found my elbow later, her fingers digging in hard enough to leave marks. You humiliated this family, Rebecca. It will not happen again. That was the night they decided. I could see it in the glance Arthur and Eleanor exchanged over their champagne flutes. The Austin exile crystallized in that moment, fully formed. The pattern started long before that, though. I was 8 when Meredith's piano recital overlapped with my science fair. I'd won first place. Created a working water filtration system from household materials. Miss Peterson said it was the most advanced project she'd seen in 20 years of teaching. Rebecca understands sacrifice, Arthur told me in the car. We were driving to Meredith's recital. My trophy stayed home on the kitchen counter. I understood sacrifice. I understood that debate team got canceled so Meredith could have mock trial. That internships got declined because family obligations always meant Meredith's needs. That my environmental science degree was expensive charity work, while her Yale Law acceptance was framed in the dining room. I understood that I was the daughter who just didn't quite fit. Eleanor watches me now, waiting for tears. Arthur's already reaching for his water glass, preparing his tough love speech. Meredith's thumb hovers over the record button. I let the silence stretch. Let them savor it. Let them think they've won. Thank you. My voice stays level. Steady. I'll be smart with it. Arthur's shoulders drop. Eleanor's smile turns genuine. The Rebecca problem, finally solved. Meredith's disappointment flickers across her face. No tears for her video. No drama for her Instagram story. I fold the check with deliberate care, crease it once, and slip it into my purse. The paper is thick, expensive. The kind of check Arthur uses for important transactions. They don't know about the wire transfer. $8,500,000, confirmed 48 hours ago. Sitting in my account while they hand me $5,000 like it's a fortune. They don't know that Julian Vance, Agricor's CEO, called me personally. That Professor Kalin forwarded my recovery data to the Agritech Summit. That their daughter, the embarrassment, the one who doesn't quite fit, built something worth buying. Arthur raises his wine glass. To fresh starts. I raise my water glass and smile. Let them think it's gratitude. It's not. 6 months before the Velvet Box and the Austin ticket, I sat in Professor Kalen's office at Stanford while he demolished my TerraSense proposal with the kind of precision surgeons use to remove tumors. The idea is fine, Rebecca. He tapped his pen against my printed presentation. 3 months of work, reduced to 18 stapled pages. But the data is thin. This is just a class project. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Someone's coffee maker beeped down the hall. Normal sounds in a moment that felt like falling. I'd expected pushback. Questions about methodology. Concerns about scalability. Not dismissal. What would make it more than a class project? Professor Kalen leaned back in his chair. Field data. Real-world application. Proof that your algorithm works outside a controlled environment. He slid the proposal back across his desk. Right now, you have theory. Investors want results. I walked back to my apartment through campus, past students celebrating the end of finals, past the coffee shop where Meredith and I used to study before she transferred to Yale. The proposal felt heavier in my backpack than it should. Theory, just a class project. I'd heard variations of those words my whole life, from Arthur when I chose environmental science over economics. From Eleanor when I explained carbon sequestration instead of discussing wedding venues like Meredith. From every family dinner where my research became background noise to Meredith's latest achievement. But Professor Kalen wasn't family. He didn't have a stake in my failure, which meant he was right. I spent the next 3 weeks living in the university library, surviving on vending machine, coffee, and the kind of determination that comes from being underestimated your entire life. The Callaway Innovation Grant application wanted 12 pages. I gave them 30. They wanted 1 recommendation letter. I secured 4. They wanted a budget breakdown. I built a full financial projection model. The acceptance email arrived at 2 in the morning. $75,000. I called home from the empty lab, too excited to wait for morning. Eleanor answered on the 4th ring. That's nice, dear. Her voice sounded distant, distracted. Listen, Meredith just made Yale Law Review. Can you believe it? The youngest editor in 15 years. Mom, I won the Callaway grant. It's one of the most competitive. That's wonderful, Rebecca. I need to go. Your father is on the other line with the Yale Alumni Association. The click of disconnection echoed in Stanford's empty lab. The fluorescent lights hummed. My laptop screen glowed with the acceptance email. $75,000 of validation that couldn't compete with Meredith's latest trophy. I looked at my TerraSense proposal, at 3 weeks of sleepless work, at proof that I could build something real. Then I got to work. The grant money went to an outsourced development team in Bangalore, carefully selected after weeks of interviews. Every contract specified my sole ownership of the intellectual property. Every line of code got documented, time-stamped, backed up in triplicate. I hired David Morrison, a part-time data analyst who worked evenings and weekends, piecing together the sensor network while teaching high school physics during the day. Professor Kalen stopped by the lab one evening, found me elbow-deep in calibration protocols. You're serious about this. You said I needed field data. I didn't look up from my laptop. I'm getting field data. 3 months later, I had my pilot program. A small family farm outside Fresno, 3rd-generation operation, desperate enough to try an unproven system from a Stanford student who promised better irrigation efficiency. The algorithm went live on a Tuesday morning in March. By Thursday afternoon, I knew something was wrong. The soil moisture readings fluctuated wildly. The irrigation schedule triggered at incorrect intervals. I watched from my laptop as 30% of their test crop drowned in water my system had insisted they needed. The farmer's voice stayed level when he called. Controlled. The kind of control that comes from watching your livelihood die in real time. We're shutting it down, Rebecca. Give me 48 hours. I can fix this. You've had 3 months. The crop doesn't get 48 hours. I sat in the lab surrounded by failure data, watching my grant money hemorrhage into a flooded field outside Fresno. Every sensor reading, every irrigation trigger, every algorithmic decision that had destroyed someone's harvest. Arthur's voicemail arrived that evening. He'd heard about the farm through his network. Of course he had. Bad news travels fast in circles where reputation matters more than recovery. Rebecca, it's your father. I heard about your little agricultural experiment. Perhaps it's time to consider something more suitable. Give me a call. He didn't sound surprised. He sounded relieved. Eleanor's text came next. Darling, there's no shame in trying. Not everyone is meant for entrepreneurship. Then Meredith. 3 crying laughing emojis followed by, heard you drowned some vegetables. I turned off my phone, pulled up the failure logs, started reading. Somewhere in 3 months of code, in thousands of lines of predictive modeling, was the error that had cost a farmer 30% of his crop and validated every dismissive word my family had ever said about me. The lab became my home for the next 3 weeks. I ordered Thai food I didn't eat, made coffee I forgot to drink, slept 2 hours in the desk chair and woke up with sensor specifications imprinted on my cheek. I found the error at 2:30 on a Wednesday morning. Single flawed line in the moisture prediction algorithm. A variable initialization error so small, so elegant in its destructiveness, that I almost admired it. I rebuilt the entire system from the ground up. The new algorithm emerged 40% more efficient than my original projections. The recovery data showed something I hadn't anticipated: system resilience. Proof that the platform could identify its own errors, adapt, and improve. I sent the updated analysis to Professor Kalin at 4 in the morning. His response arrived an hour later. Conference room, 9 a.m., bring everything. When I walked in carrying 3 months of recovery data, he looked at my findings for 7 minutes without speaking. Then he picked up his phone and started dialing. I'm getting you a presentation slot at the Agritech Summit, he said. Don't make me regret this. Julian Vance sat in the 3rd row during my presentation, taking notes while I explained how catastrophic failure had produced a stronger system. How the recovery logs proved adaptive resilience. How TerraSense wasn't just functional anymore, it was revolutionary. His technical team called me 2 days later. 4 senior engineers on the line, interrogating every line of code, every data point, every projection. I'd spent 6 months documenting everything. Every decision, every setback, every breakthrough. My meticulous records became my greatest asset. The acquisition offer arrived 24 hours after that call. $8,500,000, Director of Sustainable Development at Agricor's Chicago headquarters. I saved the wire transfer confirmation but didn't tell anyone. Not Professor Kalin. Not David Morrison. Certainly not my family. That secret felt like power, like proof, like everything they'd never believed I could build. The dessert arrives in a crystal dish, the kind that catches light and throws it back like tiny accusations. Crème brûlée. My favorite, according to Eleanor, though I've hated the texture since I was 12. She never noticed when I'd push it around the plate at family dinners, creating patterns in the burnt sugar crust instead of eating. I lift my spoon. The sugar cracks with a sound that feels too loud in the careful quiet of our table. Arthur leans back in his chair, the leather creaking under his weight. He's moving into speech mode. I can tell by the way he adjusts his cufflinks first, then his collar, the same ritual he uses before client presentations. Rebecca, your mother and I have given this a great deal of thought. His voice carries that boardroom authority, the one that closes deals and ends discussions. Sometimes tough love is the greatest gift a parent can give. You need to find your own path, without the shadow of family expectations. The irony would be funny if it weren't so perfectly on brand. Family expectations are the only thing they've ever given me. Eleanor dabs at her eyes with a napkin that probably costs $40. Her tears are perfectly timed, perfectly placed. Not enough to smudge her mascara. Just enough to glisten. We want what's best for you, darling. A fresh start where you can really discover who you're meant to be. Who I'm meant to be. As if I haven't already discovered that in a Stanford lab at 3 in the morning, rewriting code until my eyes burned. As if I haven't already become exactly who I'm meant to be, and they just couldn't see it. Meredith's smile stretches wider. She stopped trying to hide her satisfaction. Her phone sits on the table now, recording openly, getting every angle of my supposed defeat. She'll edit this later, add a soundtrack maybe. Something inspirational about family and second chances. This is exactly what I needed, I tell them. My voice stays soft, grateful. Thank you, for seeing what I couldn't see myself. Arthur's shoulders relax. Eleanor reaches across the table to pat my hand, her diamond rings cold against my skin. Inside my head, I'm doing math. Their $5,000 versus my $8.5 million. Their country club membership dues versus my director of sustainable development salary. Their carefully constructed intervention versus the wire transfer confirmation sitting in my email, dated 2 days before this dinner even happened. I've already won. They're just too busy performing to notice. The waiter refills water glasses. Someone at the next table laughs. Life continues around us while my family orchestrates my exile, completely unaware that I'm 3 moves ahead in a game they don't even know we're playing. There's power in this silence. Strength in letting them believe their own story. I spent 23 years trying to prove myself to people who were never going to look. Now I don't have to prove anything. I'm free. They just handed me freedom wrapped in a velvet box with a plane ticket inside. Meredith's phone buzzes. She glances down, her smile turning predatory. Posted, she murmurs, but loud enough for me to hear. Her fingers move across the screen with practice speed. My own phone vibrates in my purse. Once, twice, 10 times in rapid succession, the family WhatsApp is erupting. I know without looking what Meredith posted. Edited clips from tonight, probably. Strategic cuts that make me look lost and them look generous. A caption about fresh starts and family support. Maybe a prayer hands emoji. The responses flood in. I can picture them. Cousin Bradley. Putting in a good word at my Austin firm. Marketing could be perfect for her. Aunt Patricia. Teaching? Something simple might be just the thing. Uncle James. These young people need guidance. Good for you, Arthur. The family narrative cementing in real time. Rebecca the failure. Rebecca the lost cause. Rebecca saved by family generosity. My phone vibrates again. Different pattern. Text message, not WhatsApp. I wait until Eleanor excuses herself to greet someone across the room. Until Arthur gets pulled into a conversation about interest rates with a passing colleague. Until Meredith is distracted by her own social media engagement metrics. Then I check. Professor Kalin. Heard about AgriCorps. Don't let anyone dim this light. I close my eyes, open them. The country club chandelier still glitters. The creme brulee still sits half-eaten on expensive china. Another text arrives. Marcus Chen. Chicago's lucky to have you. Drinks when you get here? Then another. A number I don't recognize, but the signature gives it away. Apartment viewing schedule attached. Welcome to the team. Julian Vance's office. 2 phones, 2 lives. One for the performance, one for reality. The Whites are still managing my narrative on the family WhatsApp. Still posting and commenting and reshaping my story into something they can control. Still painting me as the family project, the one who needed saving. Meanwhile, AgriCorps' legal team is finalizing my employment contract. My apartment in Chicago has a view of Lake Michigan. Professor Kalin is recommending me for speaking engagements. Marcus is adding me to his personal network of founders who actually built something. Chosen family versus blood family. The contrast has never been clearer. Eleanor returns to the table, followed shortly by Arthur. Meredith finally puts her phone down, satisfied with her documentation of my downfall. Walk me to my car? Arthur asks. Not really a question. Outside, the parking lot smells like money. New leather and imported cologne and the particular scent of privilege that clings to expensive things. Valets move between vehicles that cost more than most people make in a year. Arthur's Mercedes sits under a light, gleaming black paint reflecting our shapes back at us in distorted mirror. He turns to face me. His expression has softened into something he probably thinks looks paternal. This is for your own good, Rebecca. Someday you'll thank me. The night air is cool. I can hear other families leaving the club. Laughter, car doors. The ordinary sounds of people who haven't just orchestrated an intervention over creme brulee. I already do, Dad. I meet his eyes. You've taught me exactly what I needed to learn. Confusion flickers across his face. He's trying to parse my words, looking for sarcasm or bitterness. He won't find it. I mean every word. He taught me I was on my own. He taught me that some people will never see your value, no matter how much you achieve. He taught me that sometimes the greatest gift is discovering you don't need someone's approval after all. These are lessons worth $8.5 million. Good. He clears his throat. Austin will be good for you. Fresh perspectives. I nod. Let him believe it. Back inside, Eleanor is calling Rebecca's college friends. I see her phone pressed to her ear, expression set in concerned mother mode, explaining the intervention. 8. Controlling the story before I can tell my own version. Meredith is drafting something on her laptop now, probably her LinkedIn post about supporting struggling family members. about the importance of tough love and family values. They're closing ranks, rewriting history, making sure everyone knows their version before mine can surface. I pull out my phone and start documenting. Screenshots of the WhatsApp messages, voice memo noting the time and location of Arthur's parking lot speech, photos of the check, the ticket, the velvet box, evidence, data, proof. Let them think they've won. Let them control their narrative for now. I'm building mine methodically, recording everything, creating a paper trail they don't even know exists. Sunday night, I'll board a plane, just not the one they bought. Monday morning, Forbes will publish an article they haven't seen coming. 48 hours until detonation. Until their carefully constructed story explodes into something they can't control or edit or explain away. I return to the table. Eleanor is crying again. Meredith is calculating her social media strategy. And I'm smiling. Really smiling. Because they just handed me the greatest gift. The freedom of having nothing left to prove. Sunday morning light filters through my apartment windows, catching the dust from 2 open suitcases on my bed. I'm folding a thrift store sweater when the doorbell rings. Unannounced. Exactly like Eleanor. I check the peephole. There she is, holding a Starbucks cup like a prop, her Sunday brunch outfit perfectly pressed. Darling, I thought you might need help packing. She sweeps past me before I can answer, her eyes already scanning my apartment with the precision of a home inspector. Moving is so overwhelming. Overwhelming. As if I haven't orchestrated 3 international shipping containers and a corporate relocation package in the past week. I gesture toward the suitcases. Just finishing up. Eleanor sets her coffee on my kitchen counter without using a coaster. She picks up my Stanford diploma from the pile next to the suitcase, runs one manicured finger across the frame. You won't need your diplomas in Austin, dear. Fresh starts mean leaving everything behind. The diploma is a duplicate, the real one shipped to Chicago on Tuesday. You're right, Mom. I take it from her hands, set it back down. Fresh start, new beginning. Her smile blooms genuine. I'm so glad you understand. She moves to my closet, pulls out my interview blazer. The good one. Navy wool, tailored. And this is far too formal for Austin's casual culture. That blazer is already hanging in my Chicago penthouse closet. This one came from Goodwill yesterday for $19. I was thinking the same thing. I fold it into the suitcase with deliberate care. Eleanor watches me pack thrift store jeans, clearance rack blouses, everything carefully chosen to look like my actual wardrobe. She nods approvingly at each choice. Satisfied I'm dismantling my life correctly. Your father and I are so proud of how you're handling this. She perches on my bed's edge, careful not to wrinkle her linen pants. Not every young woman has the maturity to accept guidance with such grace. Grace. That's what she calls surrender. My phone buzzes. Eleanor's eyes flick toward it, but I'm faster. Julian Vance's assistant confirming my furniture delivery to the Chicago address. I silence it without reading the preview. Just the airline, I tell her, confirming my flight. Good. She stands, smooths invisible wrinkles. I'll drive you to the airport tomorrow. Make sure you get off safely. There it is. Not maternal concern. Verification. She wants to watch me board, watch the plane door close, confirm the exile is complete. That's really thoughtful, Mom. Her coffee sits abandoned on my counter, lipstick stain on the rim. She doesn't drink it. Didn't come here for coffee. After she leaves, I sit on my bed, surrounded by suitcases full of someone else's clothes. The Austin boarding pass sits on my nightstand, purchased with my own credit card, printed at home. It will never be scanned. My real flight to Chicago departs 3 hours after the Austin flight. Different airline, different terminal. The beautiful symmetry makes me smile. They taught me this game. How to perform one reality while living another. How to let people see exactly what they expect. I just became better at it than they ever were. Monday morning, Arthur sends his email at 8:30 a.m. sharp. I watch it arrive on my phone from O'Hare's Gate B17, waiting for my Chicago boarding call. The subject line, family update. The body, brief and efficient. Rebecca has relocated to Austin for a fresh perspective. We're confident this change will provide valuable clarity for her future. Valuable clarity. His code for cutting me off. The email goes to his entire professional network. 200 contacts built over 30 years. Every investor, every client, every board member he knows. The implicit message reads clear. Don't help her. Don't hire her. Don't take her calls. I'm holding my second coffee when Eleanor's Instagram post appears. A family photo from Meredith's Yale graduation. The three of them, perfectly posed. I'm cropped out so cleanly you'd never know I existed. The caption. Our little Yale Law Review star. So proud of Meredith's accomplishments. Family first. Proud mom. 37 likes in 5 minutes. Meredith posts 20 minutes later. An Instagram story. My apartment door. Closed. The number visible. Then a shot of the empty parking space where my car used to be. Her caption overlaid in that cutesy script font. When siblings choose different paths. Wishing her well. 300 views already. They're not just exiling me. They're erasing me. My boarding group gets called. I silence my phone, gather my carry-on. The Austin flight has already departed from the other terminal. Eleanor probably stood at the window, watching it taxi away, believing I'm on it. The flight attendant scans my ticket. Welcome aboard, Miss White. Chicago waits. My corner office at Agricor, my penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan, my new life built on their dismissal. The plane's engines hum to life. 9 a.m. Eastern. The Forbes article goes live. I'm somewhere over Indiana when my phone starts vibrating with such intensity it nearly walks across my tray table. Airplane Wi-Fi loads slowly, but the Forbes headline appears in crisp black text. Agricor acquires revolutionary agtech startup, TerraSense, for $8,500,000. The subheading, 3-year-old founder Rebecca White's irrigation algorithm, promises to transform sustainable agriculture. My professional headshot fills half the screen, the one Professor Kalin insisted I take last month, not cropped out, not erased, front and center. The article details everything, the Callaway grant, the catastrophic farm test, the algorithm rewrite, the acquisition terms. My new title at Agricor, Director of Sustainable Development. I refresh my LinkedIn. Professor Kalin's post appeared 6 minutes ago. Proud of my student Rebecca White. True innovation happens when brilliant minds refuse to accept failure as final. Congratulations on the TerraSense acquisition. 43 shares already. Stanford's official account posted 5 minutes after that. The photo from the grant ceremony. Me holding the oversized check, Professor Kalin beside me, both of us grinning. Congratulations to Stanford environmental science alum Rebecca White on the successful acquisition of TerraSense by Agricor, making a difference in sustainable agriculture. Agricor's announcement appeared at 9 a.m. exactly. Professional, polished, welcoming. My bio highlighting the algorithm's efficiency improvements, my role leading the new Sustainable Development Division. Marcus's Twitter thread started simple. Honored to have worked with visionary founder Rebecca White on TerraSense. Watching brilliant people solve impossible problems never gets old. The counter-narrative builds itself. Organic. Truthful. Unstoppable. Arthur's assistant trying to reach him. Harrison Blackwood's office calling the house. Eleanor's charity board president leaving voicemails. I imagine Arthur in his office, his assistant showing him the Forbes article on her iPad, the color draining from his face, his phone ringing. Harrison Blackwood, calling personally. Arthur, why didn't you mention Rebecca's company? I would have invested. $8.5 million. That algorithm could revolutionize precision agriculture. Eleanor at her Monday morning tennis lesson, her phone lighting up with messages. Her charity board president, delighted. Eleanor, we had no idea Rebecca was in technology. Can she speak at our spring gala? Our donors would be fascinated. Meredith in her Yale Law Library study room, her classmates approaching with confused smiles. Your sister sold her company? Why didn't you ever mention TerraSense? The family WhatsApp group erupts. I disabled notifications yesterday, but I check it now. 37 new messages. Confused relatives, congratulatory cousins, awkward questions about why nobody knew. Aunt Patricia? Rebecca sold her startup? For millions? Cousin Bradley. Wait, Rebecca's a tech executive now? Uncle Richard. Why are we just hearing about this? The narrative crumbles in real time. Every careful lie, every dismissive comment, every cropped photo suddenly suspect. I save the Forbes article to my phone. Screenshot Professor Kalin's LinkedIn post. Archive Agricor's welcome announcement. Evidence. Documentation. Proof. By the time my plane touches down at O'Hara, I have 43 missed calls, 16 voicemails, 62 text messages, most from numbers I haven't heard from in years. 3 from Arthur's office line, 7 from Eleanor's cell, 12 from Meredith. I don't listen to any of them. Not yet. My Chicago driver waits at arrivals with my name on a tablet. Professional. Efficient. Nothing like Eleanor's suffocating surveillance. Welcome to Chicago, Miss White. The city skyline rises ahead. My new beginning, built on their dismissal. Let them scramble. Let them call. I'm already gone. The letter arrives on a Tuesday morning, 2 weeks after they've stopped trying to reach me directly. Agricorp's general counsel forwards it with a subject line that makes my coffee taste bitter. Legal matter, requiring your attention. I open the PDF in my Chicago office. Lake Michigan stretches gray and chopless beyond my window. The letterhead belongs to Whitmore and Associates, the firm Arthur uses for his most aggressive negotiations. Formal demand for settlement re. TerraSense intellectual property. The language is precise, calculated. Arthur's handiwork, dressed in legal terminology. They claim fiduciary interest in TerraSense based on substantial family investment during development phase and creation of intellectual property while residing as dependent in family home. The $5,000 check is now seed funding establishing an equity stake in the venture. Their demand, 30% of the acquisition price, $2.55 million, or litigation. I read it twice. The audacity sits sharp in my throat. They handed me that check at the country club like it was charity. Severance pay for the family disappointment. Now it's venture capital. Now it's ownership. The phone on my desk lights up. Julian Vance, calling from the executive suite upstairs. Rebecca. His voice carries the controlled frustration of a CEO protecting his assets. I assume you've seen the letter. Just now. Our lawyers tell me it's baseless. Your IP documentation is airtight, but they're making noise through back channels. He pauses. Eleanor White contacted 2 of our board members yesterday. Concerned calls about family disputes and your stability. My jaw tightens. Of course she did. Eleanor knows exactly which threads to pull. Meredith's drafting an op-ed. Julian continues. Something about startup ethics and family obligations. Her Yale credentials give it weight she doesn't deserve. I close my eyes. The coordinated assault. Arthur applying legal pressure. Eleanor working her social network. Meredith building the public narrative. The same synchronized performance from the country club, scaled up to match the stakes. What do you need from me? I ask. Nothing yet. Our PR team is drafting a response. Vague but firm. We protect our people, Rebecca. His tone shifts, becomes almost paternal. But I need to know if there's any validity to their claim. Any verbal agreements. Any family money that went into development. None. I have documentation for every dollar. The Callaway grant. My own savings. Nothing from them. Good. Relief colors his voice. Then we let the lawyers handle it. But after we hang up, I sit staring at that letter. At the repositioned $5,000. At Arthur's signature, on the firm's authorization. My phone buzzes. A text from Professor Kalin. Seeing some chatter online. You okay? I don't answer. I open Twitter instead. Tech Twitter has picked up the story. Agricorp's PR release hit an hour ago, carefully worded about meritless attempts to exploit a young founder. The replies are rallying around me, calling out the family dynamics. Sharing their own stories of relatives who appeared after success. Someone's dug up Meredith's Instagram, the posts she deleted after Forbes. Screenshots circulating with commentary about hypocrisy. Her Yale Law Review colleagues distancing themselves in quote tweets, carefully professional statements about not endorsing her forthcoming piece. Arthur's reputation bleeding out in real time. Investment blogs questioning his judgment. Colleagues wondering why he didn't recognize his own daughter's potential. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I feel the weight of what they're willing to destroy to get what they want. Their own credibility. Their professional relationships. Whatever remained of our family. All for 30% of something they called worthless 6 months ago. I forward Arthur's demand letter to my personal email. Read it again on my phone. The legal argument hinges entirely on that check. Their seed funding, their investment during development. The check I never cashed. I open my mobile banking app. The check image is still there in my deposit queue, photographed but never processed. $5,000 from Arthur White. Memo line. Fresh Start Fund. Not Terra Sense Investment. Not Seed Capital. Fresh Start Fund. Their own documentation betraying their claim. I could simply show Agricor's lawyers this image. Prove the check's true nature. Let them dismantle Arthur's argument in court filings and depositions. But that's not enough. That's playing their game on their terms. I tap Deposit Check. The app processes. 30 seconds of loading screen. Then, transaction successful. $5,000 deposited to your account. I screenshot the confirmation. The timestamp. The memo line. The full details. My hands are steady as I open my email. Forward the screenshot to Agricor's General Counsel with a brief note. For your records. Full payment received and accepted. Then I compose a new email. Direct reply to Arthur's lawyer. CC. Arthur White, Eleanor White, Meredith White. Subject. Your client's final payment. Body. Attached. Please find my acknowledgement of your client's payment. Thank you for finalizing this matter. All future correspondence can be directed to my legal counsel. I attach the screenshot. The deposited check. Their investment accepted as exactly what they intended it to be. Payment. Severance. The price of my exile. My finger hovers over send. I think about 8 years old at the science fair. Meredith's piano recital. The accumulated surrenders. The lifetime of being the daughter who understood sacrifice. I press send. The email whooshes into the void. 30 seconds later, my phone shows 3 read receipts. Arthur, Eleanor, Meredith. The silence that follows feels absolute. I go to my contacts. Find Arthur White. Press block. Find Eleanor White. Press block. Find Meredith White. Press block. My phone feels lighter without them. Outside my window, Lake Michigan catches the afternoon sun. The water turns silver. A sailboat cuts across the horizon, moving towards something I can't see. I save their letter, the demand, the threat, everything documented, like always. But this time, the documentation isn't defense, it's victory. They taught me to keep records. To be meticulous, to prove everything. They just never considered I'd use those lessons against them. 6 months later, morning light pours through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Chicago penthouse, turning Lake Michigan into hammered silver. I'm drinking coffee from a mug Professor Kalin sent me, the one that says, "Data doesn't lie," in faded letters. My TerraSense Innovator Award sits on the bookshelf, half hidden behind a stack of industry journals. I didn't mount it on the wall. Didn't need to. The team photos from Agricor have replaced what used to be family portraits in my old apartment. People who actually see me when they look at my face. My calendar alerts ping. 3 meetings today. All of them matter. All with people who value what I built, not what last name I carry. The framed check hangs in my powder room. $5,000, preserved under glass like the punchline it became. Guests always ask about it. I tell them it's a reminder that the best investments are the ones people make in themselves. Tonight is Agricor's holiday party. I'm speaking about failure and recovery, about how the catastrophic crop test in Fresno taught me more than any success could have. Young engineers need to hear that brilliance isn't avoiding mistakes. It's documenting them so precisely that you never make them twice. The venue glitters with that corporate holiday magic, all tasteful greenery and ambient lighting. I'm mid-story about rewriting the algorithm when I notice him approaching through the crowd. Harrison Blackwood, Arthur's most important client. The man who compared me to garden staff at the charity gala. He waits until I finish, clapping with the others, then extends his hand. "Miss White, Harrison Blackwood, I heard your presentation at the Agritech Summit last spring. Remarkable work." I shake his hand. His grip is firm, respectful. He has no idea we've met before. The room doesn't stop. The conversation around us continues. But I feel that old tension try to surface, that childhood need for family validation attempting one last resurrection. It dies quietly. Harrison launches into questions about soil sensors and predictive modeling. Technical questions. Smart ones. He's done his homework. He sees the algorithm now, not the dust on my boots. Later, back in my office, I update my calendar. Monthly mentorship call with Professor Kalin tomorrow. Scholarship committee meeting for my Unlikely Innovators Fund at Stanford on Thursday. The fund targets students whose families don't understand their work. Students who need someone to believe in their data before they believe in themselves. Therapy is Wednesday. Still processing. Still learning that systematic devaluation leaves marks even algorithms can't solve. A young intern stops by my door, hesitant. Maya. Brilliant with systems architecture, uncertain about everything else. Miss White? Do you have a minute? I wave her in. My family doesn't really get what I do here. She twists her visitor badge. They keep asking when I'm going to get a real job. I just wondered if that ever happened to you. I close my laptop, give her my full attention. Sometimes distance is the greatest gift you can give yourself, I say. Not out of anger, out of preservation. Her shoulders drop half an inch. Relief. You're doing real work here, Maya. Trust your data. She leaves lighter than she came in. I recognize that walk. I used to have it. Christmas Eve arrives with snow that doesn't quite stick. My phone shows 47 missed calls from numbers I unblocked but archived. I listened to the final voicemail once. Eleanor crying. Actually crying. We miss our daughter, Rebecca. Please. It's Christmas. I archive it without responding. My chosen family arrives at 7. Professor Kalin brings wine. Julian brings stories about the latest board meeting. Others from AgriCorps filter in, carrying food and laughter and the easy comfort of people who chose each other. We eat. We talk. Nobody asks about my real family. Later, washing dishes, I catch my reflection in the dark window. Lake Michigan stretches behind me, vast and indifferent and beautiful. Same face they tried to erase. Same person they measured and found wanting. Still here, still building, still growing. Thank you for the seed money, I think. You taught me I could grow anywhere, even in exile. Especially in exile. The silence I've earned settles around me like expensive cashmere. Warm, deserved, mine.